everyone and welcome to Deliciously Creepy. My name is Andrea and with me it's my brother Emilio.
Hello everybody, I'm Emilio. Your face like, oh yeah, amazing.
So much joy in your voice and in your face.
I have a full-time job apart from this. So
Shut up. We're two brothers. We love creepy things, we love horror stories, we love true crime and paranormal things because we have experienced that. So we decided to create a podcast. We have a podcast in Spanish, but we think that it's a better idea to also do it in English because we have a lot of friends that they don't speak Spanish. So it will be nice if they can listen to us and support us. And if you're here, thank you for being here with us. And we hope you really enjoy this.
So, like, seeing a state of art, where are we? What have we done in the other language podcast? What we're expecting? Yeah.
We have talked about Mexican things like true crime things or paranormal things like La Llorona,
Okay.
La Lorena.
La Lorena?
And we've also talked about the whipping murder or
The Whipping Boys Killer.
the whipping boys killer, right? And what are we going to do today, brother?
Okay, so here we're going to talk different cases. And we're going to start with the most infamous, maybe famous, it depends, character from the internet that has appeared nowadays, Slenderman. So do you know it?
Yeah, but like not so well. Like I've only seen the pictures without the octopus face, and yeah, I think the first time I heard about it, it was 2010, more or less. But I've never watched like the videos or played video games or anything like that.
So you only watch the images.
Exactly.
Okay, for me it was most the same time, and I think almost for like our generation, we start listening to the stories to hear about this character in the same era, like 2010 to 2012, and because it appeared in 2009, and we're going to see that later. But yeah, also I started like in 2010. I started, playing video games in my tablet, and there it was. It was one of the most prolific horror video games at that moment, like free video games, because it was a good video game. It was free, and it was part of the mythos, right? And it started growing. And people start not only having the video games, but there's also the YouTube content, and there's also creepypastas and fanfics and fan art and whatever you want to say. There's a lot of transmedia, and that's very interesting of Slenderman, the transmedia part of it, and how we can actually see this character not only in one specific world. Also, another good thing about him is that it's very flexible with its lore, so we don't have to have like very specific stuff nothing is canon. Very few things are canon, so it helps to expand the story, and that helped a lot in this moment. I think nowadays Slenderman, I think it's still big, but not as big as before. It has lost momentum, and I think we're going to see why.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to start showing to our audience how it started, and basically is with these two pictures. The first one we're showing in this moment said one of two recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library place, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished and for what is referred to as the Slenderman. Deformities cited as film defects by officials, and then a fire at the library occurred 1 week later. The actual photograph was confiscated as evidence.
Okay.
It says that it's from 1986, that the photographer was Mary Thomas, and that she's missing since June 13th, 1986. The second image is this one, and it says, "We didn't want to go, we didn't want to kill them, but it's persistent silence and outstretched arms, horrified and comfort to those at the same time." 1983, photographer unknown, presumed death. The quote under the second photograph read that, "And Huey thus would start the greatest myth of the internet, a type of horror, a type of folklore that had not been seen before, which would be vaguely described, and right there, in its vagueness, it will find a fire to feed on and create a universe that will reach real life."
The noise of the wind against your face fills your ears. You pedal your bike as fast as you can. You turn and darkness envelops you. The orange light from the utility poles making a pathetic attempt to contain the darkness of the night. The street is empty except for the occasional car parked in front of the houses. The street is long and divides the houses from the forest. You turn and see it again. To your right, about 100 meters away. Behind a tree, you can see his figure, an extremely tall man with arms so long that they reach his knees. He wears a black suit with a red tie that lights with the light from your bike. It seems normal until you get to its face, and therein lies the problem. It has no face. The head exists, but it has no features, no nose, mouth, or eyes. Just a mass of extremely pale skin. And in the back, you can see some appendages, like tentacles, that move slowly as if they were breathing. You can't contain your scream. You brake as hard as you can and try to turn around, but the motion of the bike is such that you lose control and fall. The asphalt gives you its warm welcome with a strong blow to the head. Your vision is blurred, and you turn scared to where it was, but it is no longer there. You give a long breath. You get up and begin to accommodate your bike. In that, the streetlights begin to turn off one by one, approaching you. No, no, no. You recite holding on to that one word with your life. You try to get on the bike, but the light above you goes off. The darkness is total. Something viscous has just touched your cheek. You try to scream, but what touches you tangles in your neck. Slenderman has caught you.
Slenderman is a modern-day ghost story created in 2009 on the Something Awful forum. It started as a challenge to create a paranormal image with Photoshop, and that is how on June 10, 2009, Slenderman was born at the hand of Eric Knudsen, who had posted as Victor Surge. So he's using this pseudonym
Nickname.
yeah, this nickname to create this image. And for several weeks, Knudsen continued to fool the Slenderman myth. With more images, newspaper clippings, of course these newspaper clippings were fake, and children's drawings depicting the creature. Again, these drawings are fake. And little by little, more people join as content creators. Now, Slenderman, some people said that it's one of the first viral monsters, and really it isn't, because he wasn't viral. Viral means that in between hours or very few days, this whatever you are posting grows.
It becomes a trending.
Yeah,
topic.
it becomes trendy, but it becomes viral because it reaches everybody. Slenderman was more organic, little by little. It didn't happen from night to like. It didn't happen very quickly. It happened just quite like a normal way.
Okay.
And it grew big, but it took its time, like a few months, and that helped because it created this idea of, okay, what's the myth about Slenderman? And it is that what makes Slenderman such a multifaceted character. We do not know a single face, a single version of this myth. Each one is different and unique, but it is connected by characteristics that are repeated recurrently. The black suit, the hate, and the slenderness of it.
Okay.
Its victims, at first children, also began to be adults, but as a way to achieve its goal to get children, right? And we have an example of that here. This one is from a Fox News Stories. So again, these are the clippings of the different newspapers that were fake, and they created like they actually look real. So they put like a picture and they create like this story that it was like narrated from a journalistic point, like more taking facts instead of creating a story.
Okay.
Like even like the photos follow that example little by little. So here we have a horse farmer named Ted Henderson who shoots his wife in the chest at the Slenderman's behest, only explaining the crime to his psychiatrist at a mental institution 3 years later. So he's saying, Ted says, ran inside, got gone, Tracy crying, Judy screaming, ran to them, he had them, was holding them. So the psychiatrist is asking who had them, and Ted says, skinny fella, suit, looking at me, Judy screaming, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And later it says, Tracy, the couple's 6-year-old daughter, is never found. So we can see that the adults are being used by Slenderman, or more than just, are being deposed by the Slenderman to get to the kids. So we have this idea that the Slenderman takes kids, right?
Yeah, but the adults are just like the collateral damage, right? To get the kids.
Yeah, and they are. And one of the things that happen with him is that it's like Hamlin's Piper.
Who?
The Hamlin Piper. Because he is taking the kids from the town with his pipe, and then he leaves with them, right?
But you don't know what he does to the kids, right?
Well, what happens in the real story is that he goes to a mountain. The mountain opens up, the kids enter, and the Piper enters too, and then it disappears. So that's it.
It's on
they
you.
go to another dimension. You don't know. It's like could be aliens, like History Channel says. So
okay.
In that case, we know that part, but yeah, we only know part of his motivations. We know that he kidnaps kids. Why? We don't know that.
Yeah.
So that helps to create the myth. Because it's like old folklore that you could understand. You don't have like this full idea of how it is. It's not like a hard lore that tells you, oh yeah, this is what he has. No, it's very easy, as we said before. He's very tall and he has a suit. He has long arms, He can have face, but sometimes he doesn't. Or maybe normally the other way around. He doesn't have face, but sometimes he has a creepy smile. He can have tentacles, or sometimes he doesn't, so it will depend. So yeah, this is where it begins to appear not only as images, but also with stories. These are the famous creepypastas, where Slenderman was the protagonist of the real stories of the narrators, right? So they're writing saying oh yeah, this is happening to me in real life. We can also find fan art flooding the web, in addition to two very important media that in that time were YouTube and video games. We also had Tumblr at that moment, and also it helped a lot to help to put all the fan art there before Pinterest. Well, Pinterest was already there, right? Yeah, I think it was already there.
No,
2010.
I don't think so. But Tumblr was for sure more famous.
So on YouTube, it is the Marble Hornets channel, which oversaw the erasing of the mythos of Slenderman by creating a web series with more than 100 episodes that began in 2009 and would end in 2014. Their videos lasting from 3 minutes to 15 seconds are found footage style, which resembles movies like The Blair Witch, and adds credibility to what is happening. Although the same monster looks like very low budget, The idea and the content are of high quality because yeah, you can see the monster and like, of course, because it has long arms, and the idea is that their arms are like almost knee level.
Yeah.
His arms look like not moving,
Okay.
so it looks very obvious that the arm is like a prop. So they
get it.
have like the props there. Oh, he's super tall, and again we have like there's a need to move him, so the movements look kind of fake.
But the potential lies on the storytelling.
Yeah, the storytelling is very good. And again, the great thing about Slenderman is that you can find it everywhere. So also that help, this transmedia part help in the idea of creating this idea that, oh yeah, he's real, you know?
Yeah, because also back then, like, people believed almost everything that was on the internet. Like, I mean, it still happens today, but like people are more careful, are more skeptic about that.
No.
No?
No. My parents were like, oh, you cannot believe everything that's on the internet. When I was a kid.
And
Now-
nowadays
Nowadays
the
are
other
the
way
ones
around.
that are like, oh yeah, look this video, and I'm like, that's fake.
Yeah, well, that's why I said, like, not all people, but you know what I mean, like.
Okay, so, according to its creator of this web series, when he was making the series, he visualized it as a Lovecraftian creature, you know, an entity that makes no sense, that has this way of damaging electronic equipment and making the camera see things that are not there. Now, I can understand Lovecraftian, but at the same time not that much, because we can actually see him.
Okay.
And normally Lovecraftian monsters that are like bird bugs, you know. I think they use it very well. We don't see the monster, but people go insane by looking at them.
Yes.
Or sometimes in its books or in the stories we can hear like this guy is saying something, but he cannot describe it. He can describe parts of it, but he cannot describe the whole of it. So I think that's part of the idea. For example, the story that you were reading has that. I wrote that, and I think that's interesting because it helps into creating this idea of the lore. You know, you don't have you just are just saying, okay, he has a suit, he's very tall, he has tentacles.
Yeah, you have like
he's
a
tall.
glimpse of it.
Yeah, but you can just sit in whatever way you want, and you can enter into feeling like, yeah, this is a Slenderman story, instead of just being tied up by a lot of things, right?
Yeah. So
you can create part of it, of the story, very simple, very short. You don't have to create this whole stuff that is very big, blah blah blah. And you don't also are restrained by lore. So yeah, after that we find Slenderman there, but also in video games, and the most famous one, the Slenderman at 8 pages, I think, where he chases you while you are trying to escape from a forest, collecting 8 notes. Obviously, the more pages you find, the more difficult the game is. The game was free in its moment, I don't know if it's still free, and it was key in the growth of the character's popularity. And that's how I met him. That's how I started knowing about Slenderman. And it was a quite interesting game. You know, I was playing it on the iPad, and it was, it was a very scary game. I don't know, I was not good with scary games at that moment. Now I do. But yeah. And later in an interview with the BBC in 2012, Knudsen commented, I would say that the scariest thing about Slenderman was that we didn't know what his motives were. As we said before, we don't know his motives, and that affects how we perceive him. Because it's a foreign entity that we don't know shit about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like with Pennywise that you know that he wants kids because he wants to eat them.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that, but at the same time more vague, so that helps. It's like he will eat them, what he will do, you don't know. So yeah, so the legend, which had been created on the net, had spread through the internet through creepypastas, fanpics, ARGs, and video games. It took a ton for the real thing on May 3rd on the 31st of May 2014 in the town of Waukesha, Wisconsin.
911. What's the address of your emergency?
Waukesha County, Lenny. I'm transferring over a caller on Big Bend at the dead end just south of Rivera.
Okay.
Came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
Okay.
Sir, you still there?
Yes.
Hi, sir. So are you with this 12-year-old female?
Yes, she says she's having trouble breathing. She said she was stabbed multiple times.
Stabbed multiple times?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Are you with her right now?
Yes.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Is she breathing?
Yeah, she's breathing. She said she can take shallow breaths. She's alert.
Okay, stay with her. We're sending the police department. Don't hang up, okay?
Oh,
Hold on just a minute. Don't hang up.
12-year-old Peyton Lautner had gone to the birthday party of her lifelong best friend Morgan Geezer. Her inseparable friend. They were inseparable. And they did, of course, everything together, right? Morgan had also invited another friend from high school, that was Anissa Waya. This friend, actually, Peyton didn't trust her. She was telling in an interview I didn't like her at all. I just hung out with her because I knew Morgan really loved her as a friend, but she was always cruel to me. I feel like she was jealous that Morgan was friends with me and hers. What Peyton or Bella, as her friends and family knew her, was that she was walking into the lion's den, and that's the thing. So we are setting this thing. Morgan and Anissa, on the outside, seem to be a couple of normal preteens. They play with their tablets, watching videos on YouTube, and their favorite subject was reading horror stories on the net, especially the famous creepypastas. And this is where the girls would find Slenderman, starting a great fascination with the horror character. Mm-hmm. But there was a big problem. Morgan had a problem that no one knew about, not even her. And it was that her imaginary friends kept appearing in front of her, and Slenderman would join their meetings. What no one knew was that Morgan had schizophrenia, and what she read in the creepypastas fed her schizophrenia to the point that in her delusion, Slenderman was real, and the stories in which he appeared, whether they were in creepypastas or on YouTube, were part of reality. So she was
Lost.
Yeah, but like she's living in this alternate reality where she is seeing all of this stuff, but no one knows because she's 12.
Yeah.
We need to remember that she was a kid. Like they are in that moment that they are old enough to for some stuff, at the same time not old enough.
Yeah.
Like probably the parents says they're in that phase where they're changing, they become adults, and parents don't want to lose like the inner kid, that sense of disbelief and of living magic and things like that. So her playing with these things, and I don't know. I think it will be easy to miss it, but well, it depends. The problem is that Anissa fed Morgan's delusions. They both believe that Slenderman lived in a mansion in the Nicollet Nature Reserve 448 kilometers away from Waukesha. Not only that, but also Slenderman was after them and would kill their families. Unless they would offer a sacrifice, and after that they would go to Nicollet's reservation to look for the mansion to go live with Slenderman and thus become their proxies. It sounds like it sounds more like Aztec folklore.
Why?
Because they're making a sacrifice to the gods to appease
they
the
have
gods.
to reach the promised land.
Yeah. So when you kill the person, the gods don't destroy the world.
They don't get angry.
Yeah, the sun doesn't destroy everything because you are feeding him with the blood of the innocent. It's basically the same fucking idea. And they had this, and it's crazy because I was looking at the never been to the States, but I was looking at the like, how far away is Nicollet Nature Reserve to Waukesha in Wisconsin? And they still are in Wisconsin. Like, you're not leaving the state, and that's 400 kilometers. That's a lot.
Wow.
And yeah, because you look it in the map, in Google Maps, and it's like, yeah, it's not that big.
It's small.
But when you actually look how it's like, yeah, it's a 5-hour drive. I'm like, okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, imagine if you walk that.
It's like 100 hours.
Oh god.
That's 4 days. No, that's crazy. It's more than 4 days.
4 days non-stop.
Non-stop, yeah. That thing, there's no way to do that. And then you will see also that these girls were not in shape. So that helps not to do that. So yeah, they will try to invite Peyton into this, how we say, Slenderman. It's not a seance, but it's like fantasy. But she wasn't interested. So in this interview she had years later, she told, literally, I told Morgan that it scared me and that I didn't like it. But she really liked it and thought it was real. And I think people were like, oh yeah, between the fascination and playing with that she actually was delusional.
Yeah, like I remember, and this is so cringy, but when I was that age, like I used to have a friend that it's also schizophrenic now. At that age, I didn't knew that, but well, anyways, she convinced me to believe in this fantasy that she talked with Justin Bieber, and yeah, I don't know, like playing the game, like I knew we were playing a game, but at some point I doubt that she was like in the same mindset that I was. Like for her it was like real, and she used to cry about it, and she created a whole story about it, how she was in a relationship with Justin Bieber. So yeah.
Okay, actually another story. So yeah, that can happen, and then yeah. In December 2013, they began to devise their plan, and they will find their victim in someone who trusts them. That was, of course, Peyton. She was her best friend, Morgan's best friend since they were 3 years old, and yeah, she was going to be the sacrifice.
Oh god.
So to appease Slenderman, again going with this old folklore from other times. On the 30th of May 2014, Morgan would invite Anissa and Peyton over to her house to celebrate her birthday. Okay. They would go to Skateland, where they could roller skate in an indoor rink, like inside an indoor rink. And from there, they will go to Morgan's house, where the plan will go into action. So here you can see that this happened in May. They start the end of May. They start think about this in December, so it was 6 months of
premeditating
this thing. So yeah, and yeah, that's a crazy thing, right? That they actually plan it very well.
Well, not so well, but yeah, like they had like the total intention to kill someone, and that's crazy.
Yeah, for 6 months they were playing fake friends.
Yeah, that's crazy and creepy, and that's why I'm glad I'm done high school and done with school, because kids are crazy, and I don't know, you never know.
While Peyton slept, Anissa and Morgan watched her. The plan was simple. At 2 a.m., they would cover Peyton's mouth with duct tape, stab her in the neck, and then cover her with blankets. Then they would run, and they would go to Nicolette, covered by the darkness of the night. Again, it's 100 hours. But the idea, it's crazy because it's well thought, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they've done it like at night, maybe it will have been a successful plan, but
They will still find them, but it was going to be more difficult.
yeah.
But they didn't kill her friend that night. Morgan told the police later, I wanted to give it one more day. To give her one more day. So...
That makes her even more guilty, you know?
Yeah, actually. So the next day, a Saturday, they went to a local park, but before leaving the house, put away a knife with which they planned to murder and took it with them. In the bathroom of the park, they hit Peyton, but nothing else happened. Like they pushed her to a wall, and that she was like, "Oh, it was an accident."
Okay.
She believed it.
Okay.
So that's weird.
This passive-aggressive friendship.
Yeah. Yes, the guys were saying they were playing, Peyton believed that, and then in that moment Morgan thought about retracting, but Anissa convinced her that they should do it. So later the two girls told Peyton, hey, we're going to play hide and seek. So Anissa convinced Peyton to get on the floor and she started putting this,
Leaves?
yeah, leaves
Dirt?
and not dirt, no, but leaves and sticks into her.
Oh.
And then she sat on her. And when she sat in on top of her, Peyton started complaining that she couldn't breathe. And so Anissa, I don't know how this happened because there's a lot of things happening, and it seems like it's in a very short time.
Okay.
Because if you put it like a long time, it's weird, you know. Probably it happens very short time, very quick.
Yeah.
So Anissa got off her, and then Anissa gave Morgan the knife. And the thing is that Morgan says, no, you know what, I'm not feeling it, I will not do it, I'm retracting. She gave back the knife to Anissa. Yeah, Morgan told her, I won't do it until you tell me, right? And it's that moment when Anissa tells her, go ballistic, go crazy now.
Wow.
Morgan would do as told by Anissa and start stabbing her only childhood friend.
God.
Morgan stabbed Peyton 19 times, puncturing her liver, pancreas, and stomach, narrowly missing an artery near her heart for just 1 millimeter. Peyton was crying and yelling at Anissa, saying, I hate you and I trusted you. And yeah, after the attack, Anissa would tell Peyton to lie down on the floor so she wouldn't bleed out, to be quiet, and they would go for help. But going for help was not in their plan, and the hope was that she would die, that she would bleed out there, and that they were successful, and the sacrifice was done for
Completed.
Slenderman, and he will be at peace and would spare the lives of their families, right? So they fled. And actually one of the things that they said to police after they were caught was that a lot of people don't believe Slenderman is real. We wanted to prove the skeptics wrong.
Okay.
So yeah, so you can see they are living totally in their delusion and they are not seeing reality as how it is.
Totally.
So actually Peyton crawled for life, like she's crawling from the bushes where the girls had hidden her, and lucky for her, a cyclist will find her there. She was saying, help, they have stabbed me. He stopped, calls 911, and we already heard the call at the beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah, the police of Waukesha immediately mobilized. There were helicopters, police cars, everyone was there. And at the scene, a police officer actually asked Peyton, who had done this to you? And her answer was, my best friend. So yeah, it's crazy, right?
Don't trust anyone. Like.
Yeah, totally. They were walking on the 94 interstate highway in the belief that they could walk the more than 400 kilometers that separated Waukesha from their destination. They had managed to walk 8 kilometers, but only 392 more remain, something that would take them 100 more hours. So, yeah. It was crazy. It's like 392 kilometers. That's like me going to the city.
Yeah.
That's 60 kilometers.
Yeah, like imagine.
Going back is 120. 400 is doing that trip 4 times. Well,
No.
8 times.
Walking and non-stop. No, like, I mean, like if they were so delusional to believe that Slenderman actually was after them, I can picture that they believed that they could make it, like in one night. They could do that trip.
Yeah, actually, it was. Again, that's things I don't understand. Nisa Ware was in the, in this little room talking with one of the officers, and she asked like, "Hey, I want to know how far we made it because I'm not in shape." So it's like, are you actually out of reality, or you're not?
Yeah.
It was a weird question. Well, the police found them. The knife, which they used to attack Peyton, was still in their backpacks. The police interviewed them, and both showed this same idea. That was that they did not want to do it, but they were going to do it.
Okay.
They knew they were going to kill Peyton.
Like if they didn't have an option.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, this is the only way to do it. Right now, we don't have an option, and we should do it. And I think it's because of Morgan having schizophrenia. She actually, we can say that, but the other one was feeding her and also being fed by Morgan's.
Yeah.
So Morgan actually will show a lack of empathy by saying that she hadn't felt anything when she attacked Peyton. Anissa said that a good part of her hoped that she wouldn't die, Peyton wouldn't die, but another, a bad part of her, hoped that she did.
Oh god.
And yeah, both were sentenced as adults actually.
Yeah,
The
that's
judge,
good. Yeah.
Because he was saying like it was premeditated. There were a lot of instances where they could say just no, it happens.
They had a
In
lot
the
of
night they
opportunities.
say no, we're not going to do it. In the bathroom they didn't do it. When Anissa gives the knife to the other one, it's the moment that she actually
Could have stopped all that.
because she's saying like go ballistic or crazy. That's why the sentence is adults, because there's premeditation and everything. Both pleaded guilty, but the jury found them not guilty due to insanity.
Yeah,
So
because of the
basically,
mental.
the girls were mentally ill,
Yeah.
and in their delirium, they had attacked the victim. So Anissa will be sentenced to 25 years to life in a mental institution, and Morgan instead will receive 40 years to life. So again, also in a mental institution. Inside prison, it was the moment where Morgan found that she had schizophrenia. Also, her family found out that.
Okay.
Something that did not come as a surprise, since her father Matt is also a schizophrenic but functional.
Okay. How does that work? Like.
He actually took something.
Okay.
Because I saw the documentary that's in HBO. And he's saying like, he knows that things are not real. Like it's kind of curious because he's saying like, I know it's not real, but at the same time, all my senses are telling me there's something there, but I know that it's not real. So, and imagine a kid that doesn't have that control over her.
Yeah, like knowing that as a parent that you have schizophrenia and your kids come and tell you that she has imaginary friends, the least you can do is like check if she has a problem, not be like, it's normal, kids have imaginary friends. I mean, yes, but you have like this thing running in your ADN.
In your genes?
In your DNA.
Yeah, again, I think it's Yeah, there's no way to say no to that.
Exactly. Like, take care of your children. Like, it doesn't hurt to double check their mental health. I mean,
Yeah, true. So yeah, the thing is that police at trial will tell how Peyton was in a constant state of delirium, seeing imaginary friends and characters from her favorite books, visiting and spending time with her. At one point, she told the police who was watching her that Snape, the potions teacher from Harry Potter, was coming to visit her at night.
imagine that.
So yeah, she was completely out of reality. After more than a year, Morgan Wood began to be medicated. So that's actually quite bad, you know. It's like, how do you have a kid for a year not medicated when it's necessary because she's in this crazy state of delirium?
Yeah, I mean, poor girl. Like, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, she has a problem, but you're not doing anything to fix it, and you have her in a condition that is not going to be healthy for her. Like, being in a cell is not going to be good for her.
Yeah, it's not going to help her in any way.
No. So, yeah, it's after this that she started actually feeling remorse about what she had done because she had betrayed her best friend. In 2019, Peyton would be interviewed, and when asked what her former best friend will say, what she will say to her former best friend, she answered like, I would probably initially thank her. I will say it just because of what she did, this Morgan. I have the life I have now. I really, really like it, and I have a plan. I didn't have a plan when I was 12, and now I do because of everything that I went through. Peyton is now looking to pursue a career in the medical field, and yeah, in 2021, last year, Anissa Wire was released. So that's how we end this. And yeah, for me, I can't say that much because I think it's she's already out.
But why?
So allegedly, we can say that allegedly, she kind of instigated, right?
Yeah.
Because
Like,
one of the
she's
girls is
evil
saying
mind here.
allegedly, but one of the girls was saying like, okay, you are jealous of my relationship with this girl, and you just arrive, and then she's the one saying like,
Manipulating.
you need to stop her.
Yeah, encouraging her. Yeah.
So it's weird for me. And that she gets off because she's saying like in the mental institute that she's in, she cannot advance further and be advance further in her treatment and do better, and that she needs to get out to be a functional member of society, being in society. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but you didn't do like, I have a mental issue and I need to solve it. It's more like, yeah, you have a mental issue, but also you try to kill someone, you know? And that's too high.
Yeah, it's like, okay, then go to prison.
No, because you cannot have them there.
Oh, too bad. But also, you mentioned something about COVID, right? That maybe it was because of that.
Yeah, well, I said this in like off screen.
Yeah.
And it's the same time COVID happened, so probably it's more like a thing for not having too much people inside a place.
Yeah.
Of course, she's free, but there's a lot of measures.
Okay.
She needs to have a GPS all the time, like on, and there's police officers nearby and things like that. So it's not as like.
She's not
easy.
free.
Yeah, and her dad needs to be there all the time and things like that. So yeah, it's not free. At the end of the day, she's in theory being watched. So yeah, for one part you're like, okay, hope she actually gets integrated into society, but for another part I'm like, well, how can you integrate these people, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the story, like...
Yeah, and you cannot change your identity because, yeah,
Yeah.
You're not that kind of offender that needs a change of identity, and the government says like, okay, yes, you're not. So in that sense, I think, yeah, it's kind of weird, and also sad because what happens with this is that it takes what we saw at the very first part, the part of Slenderman, it takes it out and actually destroys it. In 2018, there was a movie that completely bombed because, yeah, nobody watched it.
No.
Not many people got involved into it because they were afraid of it, because they were like, okay, people are going to. Actually, the families were against it because they didn't want it to to glorify this, but at the same time it's like, okay, yeah, but it's not the fault of the character.
Yeah, it's not related actually, because you're talking about a fictional character. Like, imagine that instead of Slenderman, it would have been Winnie Pooh or, I don't know, Superman. Like,
yeah, it could have been any character. As she was saying, like Snape was there. It could have
Yeah.
been him. It could be whatever.
Voldemort.
Yeah, basically. No, yeah, and there were stories of her saying like Voldemort, and she called him Baldy and things like that. And it's like, yeah, she was delusional.
Yeah.
And the thing is that she picked up one of the characters that she had in common with the other one.
Yeah.
And that's what helped in that. Now, I think it's sad in the sense that helped the character lose traction. We're seeing this. The Slenderman is not the same as it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's like Dracula or the Monster of Frankenstein. All of those characters are fictional characters, but we love them because they are like in the horror canon. And losing Slenderman because of this, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, because you still have it in some stuff, but it's not completely there.
Exactly.
And so yeah, that's the story of Slenderman as we see it. And there's a lot of things. There's another cases. I think in Ohio, a girl also attacked her mom. But again, same idea. She got mental health issues.
So the thing here is that people should be more afraid of the mental health condition of the people instead of blaming a fictional character, you know? Like, instead of glorifying or like the newspaper selling the story like, oh, people it's dying because of Slenderman.
Yeah, because actually that happened, right? Media was like, oh yeah, it's Slenderman is this evil that is making kids do this, and it's like, no, dude.
Check your mental health programs.
It's the easy part to say that. The difficult part is we have a mental health problem here. How we're going to tackle it? How we're going to help this girl? Also help the victim and make sure that this doesn't repeat.
Exactly.
That there should be steps in schools to show that, and not just say like, oh yeah, she's super imaginative, because then you just push it aside. The parents should have been like, why, if you know that your dad has schizophrenia, and I know I don't want to blame anybody, but you should check, okay, if she's talking to imaginary friend at 10, we're having a problem there. Maybe at 5 I get it, but at 10 we're like, okay, let's see that. Because anyways, even if it's just late, like grown up a little bit like later than everybody else, it's still not that great.
No.
So yeah, in that case, yeah, it's more than just that. We have seen it in a lot of cases, like saying, oh, video games are the ones to blame. Oh, music, this metal music is the one to blame.
Yeah.
Same thing here. So, yeah, because if we're going to talk about that, horror films, everybody has read horror.
Yeah.
And that's why the parents were not saying anything. Actually, if you see that documentary, the mom is saying like, well, at her age, I was reading it. Mm-hmm. And me seeing her reading these creepypastas. I was like, yeah, well, same thing, different format.
Exactly, but the problem is that if your kid starts telling you that she can see it.
Yeah, but when I was what, 13, I was reading The Exorcist, and I couldn't sleep. I was scared to shit
Yeah,
out
but you
of it.
weren't hallucinating with the girl with Morgan.
Yeah, but I couldn't enter the house and be in the dark because I was like, yeah, there's something there. I was super scared. I was feeding my own delusion by that. And yeah, it's not schizophrenia or anything like that, but you are like having that problem.
Yeah,
And
it's complicated.
yeah, of course it's complicated, but you cannot put all the guilt on a person just because. Like, I know, I get it. They premeditated, they had this plan to do this, they could have stopped many times, they chose not to stop. Of course, they should be in a mental institution. Well, Morgan, because the other one already left.
But Slenderman was just an excuse, you know?
We don't know if it was an excuse because actually it looks like they actually believe in these things.
Wow.
The idea that they thought that they could walk for 100 kilometers kind of ensures it. But it is... Yeah, it's like a collateral damage that Slenderman was caught in the middle of this. And it's kind of funny well, it's not funny, but it's interesting in this case because it's a folklore, but also we have true crime, and then it's I think it's nice to have that. And yeah, that's the case of Slenderman, how it happened to be.
Yeah, this was our Halloween special. We hope you enjoy it, guys, and let us know in the comment section below what do you think about the podcast, what other cases you would like to see here, and follow us in our social media. We are going to leave all the links in the description box below. So yeah, feel free to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We are updating everything about the podcast there. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.